And remember, in case of sickness, the first thing we look at is why. Why are so many people suffering from diabetes?
Hi, I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we're focusing on nighttime signs of diabetes, those subtle but critical signals your body sends while you sleep. From frequent trips to the bathroom to excessive thirst and night sweats, these symptoms might point to blood sugar imbalances that need attention. Recognizing them early can help prevent further complications. Let's dive in and uncover what these nighttime warnings mean for your health. As a thank you for joining me today, we're giving away 100 free copies of my best-selling book to our subscribers. So if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, like this video, and comment why you want to win. Now let's get started.
See, what every cell in the body needs, requires, and what the pancreas needs and requires to function well is a steady, sure, slow release of glucose. And that's what the three essentials give it. Fiber. Fiber slowly releases the glucose. Protein is broken down in the stomach, so it also gives a steady, sure release of glucose. Fat. Yes, fat helps to slowly release the glucose. That's what the pancreas needs, and it's what every cell in the body needs. So the first place that the glucose is sent is into the cell. It goes into the cell under the action of insulin. It goes through a 20-step pathway. And this 20-step pathway delivers to us 2 units of energy. Isn't that why we eat? The end result of the 20-step pathway is a chemical form of glucose called pyruvate. And pyruvate is the chemical form of glucose. It gets fed into the next section. It's an 8-step pathway, and even though it's only an 8-step pathway, it delivers to us an impressive 36 units of energy. What makes the difference? How come a 20-step pathway only gives 2 units and an 8-step pathway gives 36? The difference is oxygen. This pathway produces energy by the process of fermentation. But on a high carbohydrate diet, we've still got glucose left over. And so now the liver causes it to be stored inside, particularly the muscle cell, little molecules of glucose stored in the muscle cell, just waiting to be used. It's called glycogen stores. Glycogen is the name given to quick-release glucose stores. Glycogen. In fact, I'd like to suggest, before we move on, that glycogen is the diabetic's best-kept secret. Because when your blood glucose levels go low and you're needing fuel, all you have to do is get on the exercise bike or jump down and do push-ups. When you start moving the body, it causes a release of your glycogen stores. They get plucked, sent down the pathway, plucked, sent down the pathway, plucked, sent down the pathway. An amazing process. On a high carbohydrate diet, we've still got glucose left over because only so much can be stored in the cell, particularly the muscle cell. And when it's in the muscle cell, it can only be used by the muscle cell. It's like it's in a prison. But the liver can also store glycogen, only a small amount, but the glycogen that's stored in the liver can go everywhere in the body. But on a high carbohydrate diet, we've still got glucose left over, and now it gets stored in the most amazing fuel depot in the body. It's called fat cells. And what's happening on this high carbohydrate diet? People are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, have you noticed? What I've given you there is just the basic science. And you can see by what I've shown you here that fat doesn't make you fat. What makes you fat? It's this high carbohydrate diet that the body just can't use all that glucose. And so then it gets stored. And that's the role of insulin, to get the glucose out of the blood and into the pathway, but there's too much. Well, okay, some stored as glycogen. There's still left over. Okay, it's stored as fat. There's no doubt about it that diabetes was not on planet Earth until sugar was refined. Hippocrates, 400 years BC, no mention of diabetes. So there's no doubt about it that sugar plays a role. It takes 1 yard of sugar cane to deliver 1 teaspoon of sugar. It's a pure crystallized acid. And when it goes into the body, blood sugar levels go boom. And then the brain says, quick, insulin, get it down. And then there's this constant whiplash, which eventually wears pancreas out. But before pancreases get worn out, something else happens. The cell develops insulin resistance, as if the cell says, I'm sick of the sight of you. Go away. And yet the blood sugar level's remaining high because the insulin couldn't get it in the cell because there's insulin resistance, and the brain says to the pancreas, more insulin, more insulin. What's the body going to do now? That high glucose will spill out in the urine. Diabetes mellitus means sugar in the urine.
Let's talk about frequent urination at night, a common but alarming symptom of diabetes. When blood sugar levels are high, your kidneys work overtime to filter excess glucose. This process pulls more water from your bloodstream, leading to increased trips to the bathroom. You may think it's just from drinking too much water in the evening, but if it happens consistently, it's a red flag. Dehydration follows, leaving you thirsty and drinking more, creating a vicious cycle. This disruption not only affects your sleep, but also stresses your kidneys. Over time, this can contribute to further complications, including kidney damage. The good news is you can address this by balancing your blood sugar levels with a low carbohydrate diet, high fibre intake, and staying well hydrated throughout the day. Your body is signalling you to make changes. Listen and act now for your long-term health.
Once you start playing with God's creation, you don't know what's going to happen. That's why genetically modified foods are actually dangerous foods because they have the potential to actually interfere with and interrupt our own DNA. Where does wholemeal sit? So you call it whole wheat. So the whole wheat bread, it sits at 72. How could that be? Because the whole wheat is not refined, it's got more amylopectin A in it. Yes. I had a guest do our program. She said, I'm a diabetic. I was diagnosed at 65. I'm now 69. I do everything they tell me. I have whole wheat bread, whole wheat pasta, whole wheat cereal, whole wheat. And every 6 months I go to the doctor and he puts me on more insulin. And what's the definition of insanity? To do what you've always done and expect different results. She said, I'm not like the lady down the road. She has sodas, she has candies, she has cakes. I don't do that. She said, in fact, she started crying. She said, you've just solved the puzzle. Now, if you want to explore this in more detail, there's a book called Wheat Belly by Dr. William Davis. It's a bestseller. And I'm very thankful to Dr. William Davis. There are actually a few books that talk about it, but he defines it very nicely. And he shows what happened to the wheat. And he also shows that by the late 70s, this hybridized wheat went worldwide. Do you know what that means? By the 1990s, let's have a look at this. By the 1990s, every cereal, every bread, every cake, every donut, pretzel, etc., every pizza, every pasta, what's it made out of? The hybridized wheat. No wonder diabetes has exploded. Because how many diabetics are told to have the whole wheat? And yet, are they healing from their diabetes? No. No, they're not. Something else has come into the equation. And it all happened around the time of the let me get it right, the Industrial Revolution, got it right? It all happened around the time of the Industrial Revolution, where they started to create a lot more chemicals, a lot more chemical cleaning products, a lot more chemical fabrics. But what I wanted to specifically look at is what they did to the oils. Now, before the Industrial Revolution, depending on where you lived, it was near the equator, it was either coconut oil or palm oil, and if it was in the Mediterranean, it was usually olive oil or maybe sunflower oil. Sunflower seeds are soft seeds. I've had people say to me their grandmother used to grind the sunflower seeds, squeeze them and get the oil. And if it was in the more northern countries, it was usually butter or cream from organic cows. And if it was further up, it was usually fish, seals, whale blubber, depending on where you lived on the planet. And by the way, diabetes was very low, and as you'll see in my next lecture, heart disease was very low. But in the Industrial Revolution, they created equipment so they could get oil out of hard seeds. You see, the olive oil is extracted from the flesh of the plant. Women could have presses in their kitchen to press the flesh of the olive to get the oil. And the coconut oil is extracted from the flesh of the plant. So they grate the coconut and they squeeze it with water and they get the milk. And then in a saucepan, double saucepan, or traditionally just in the sun, it would separate into the oil. So in their kitchen, women could do it. But to get oil out of a hard seed, that needs high heat chemical equipment. And if you go into the supermarket, you can see them. They're in clear plastic bottles, and they're the cheapest oils: vegetable oil, canola oil, soy oil, corn oil, safflower oil. They're the dangerous oils.
Another critical nighttime sign to watch for is excessive thirst, often coupled with dry mouth. This isn't just about being thirsty after a salty meal, it's your body's way of coping with elevated blood sugar. High glucose levels pull fluids from tissues, leaving you parched even in the middle of the night. You may wake up multiple times just to sip water, only to find the cycle repeating itself. This constant thirst can disrupt your sleep patterns, leaving you tired and irritable during the day. To combat this, focus on keeping your blood sugar stable through proper nutrition. Include plenty of legumes, nuts, seeds, and green vegetables in your meals to provide a steady energy release. Also, ensure you're drinking enough water during the day to stay hydrated without overwhelming your system at night. Small changes now can prevent bigger health issues later.
Right, well, we might just start it here. Sunshine. We've looked at the importance of sunshine for vitamin D and its importance for getting minerals into the body, but also maintaining the DNA of the cells. Use of water. Ideally 8 glasses of water a day. And that little bit of salt, the whole salt, Celtic salt. How much? Probably the size of a sesame seed. If you're not used to it, start with that. And remember, it will help release your glycogen stores. Sleep. We're going to be looking at sleep later in the week, and especially the hours before midnight. The hours before midnight, in fact, at the moment, it's between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. that melatonin is released. And melatonin is your fix and rejuvenate nighttime hormone. That is the hormone that's responsible for the increase in healing while we sleep. When you lay your body down in bed at night, you know you're laying your body on nature's operating table. So while you sleep, and the release of these hormones, it allows the healing of the pancreas. If you don't go to bed till 2 a.m., You might lay yourself on nature's operating theatre, but the surgeon's left the surgery. The surgeon's only active between it's most active between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. I used to work in an operating theatre, and you can't work unless you've got your whole team there. So it's between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. that you've got the whole team there for the surgery on healing the pancreas while you sleep. And later in the week when we look at sleep, I'm going to show you all the processes that happen in the sleep, how you can increase that, and how you can train your body back into 8 hours a night. Here's God's perfect mathematical formula: 8 hours to work, 8 hours to play, 8 hours to sleep. Trust in God. Thank Him every day for the condition that your pancreas is in right now, even if your pancreas is not working well and you are on insulin. Thank Him for your pancreas, thank you for its ability to heal, and thank Him that tonight you're going to learn how you can revive your pancreas. See, one young man came to our retreat, he's only 19 with type 1 diabetes. He said to me, my specialist said my pancreas is dead. I said, is it gangrene? What's dead? If there's blood going through that pancreas, it's alive. And we live in an incredible body that has an inbuilt ability to heal itself. I'll tell you his story in a minute, but he was with us 4 weeks, and after 3 weeks he went from 90 units of insulin a day down to 10 units of insulin a day. Was his pancreas dead? No, it wasn't dead. His pancreas started to revive because it was given the right conditions. That 90 units of insulin allowed him to eat a high carbohydrate, high sugar diet. So when he started eating our food, which was high fibre, generous proteins and great fats, he didn't need that much insulin. So little by little by little, he started to drop his insulin levels. In Leviticus 17:11, the Bible says the life of the flesh is in the blood. If there's blood going through any part of your body, it's alive. There's life, and it can be revived. So let me show you why the blood's called the life of the flesh. Because in the blood is the carrier of oxygen. That's why it's important to breathe through your nose, breathe long, slow and deep. I call it God's LSD, long, slow, deep. Breathing in and out through the nose, and it will increase the oxygen content in your body. The blood also carries the nutrients, and we are the ones that choose what we eat. And as we're looking at, there are some foods that are healing, and there are some foods that are not healing. Hence, we are the ones that choose. Are we eating a high carbohydrate, high refined diet, or are we eating a diet that's high in fibre, great proteins, good fats? We choose. And it's our God-given right to choose what we do to our body. And the food that we eat determines the quality of our blood. Water. The blood also carries the water, and the blood carries away waste. All living machinery has waste, and our living machinery, the human body, is no exception. What an incredible body we live in, and the healer is the blood. So thank God every day for exactly where you are and what you have right now. Because my daughter Emma, when she was 5, she said, Mum, I'm going to grow up in a minute. Now we know she didn't grow up in a minute. We know she took her 10 years to grow up. And when we're sick, don't we want to be better in a minute? When I broke my arm, I have to tell you, I wanted that to be better in a minute, but it took 6 weeks. I think it was the longest 6 weeks of my life. But it's better. And it's the same with healing in the body. Give it time. Abstain. There are some things that you must stop if you want to heal from diabetes.
Let's now consider night sweats, another significant but often dismissed sign of diabetes. If you frequently wake up drenched in sweat, even in a cool room, your body might be reacting to fluctuating blood sugar levels. Low blood sugar or hypoglycemia can trigger the release of stress hormones like adrenaline, causing excessive sweating during the night. This is your body's attempt to stabilize glucose levels, but it often leaves you feeling restless and fatigued the next day. Consistent night sweats could mean your blood sugar regulation needs attention. The solution lies in stabilizing your glucose levels before bedtime. Avoid sugary or high carbohydrate snacks late at night, and instead opt for a small protein-rich meal to maintain steady energy levels. Pair this with hydration and regular exercise to improve insulin sensitivity. Listening to these nighttime cues can help you take control of your health and prevent further complications. Thank you for tuning in. Nighttime symptoms of diabetes shouldn't be ignored. They're your body's way of asking for help. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe and share to help others take control of their health. Together, we can make informed, healthier choices. Until next time, take care and stay empowered.